Old quarter-dollar value brings you the untold stories of coins that look ordinary in your pocket, but hold secrets worth thousands today. And today, we uncover the hidden history and value of the 1963 Lincoln penny, a coin that might just be lying unnoticed in your collection. The year 1963 stands as one of the defining chapters in the long history of American coinage, and the Lincoln penny issued in that year continues to fascinate collectors, historians, and everyday Americans alike, because it is more than just a piece of copper. It is a witness to a time when the nation stood at the edge of cultural and political transformation. The Lincoln penny of 1963 represents both continuity and change, and its production story value and significance carry weight far beyond its 1-cent denomination. To understand the 1963 Lincoln penny, we must first travel back to 1909, when the Lincoln cent was first introduced as a way to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. For the first time in American history, a circulating coin carried the portrait of a real historical figure and not a symbolic image. This was a major shift in US coin design, and it forever changed the way coins were viewed by the public. The designer, Victor David Brenner, created the iconic image of Lincoln that still defines the cent today, and by 1963, that design had already become an American classic. The 1963 penny was struck at two major facilities, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, with no mint mark for Philadelphia and a small d mint mark for Denver. Together, these two facilities struck an enormous number of coins in that year, over 754 million from Philadelphia and over 17 billion from Denver, making the total mintage more than 24 billion coins. The sheer quantity reflected the huge demand for coinage in a growing American economy of the early 1960s. Composition of the 1963 Lincoln penny was primarily 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This classic bronze composition had been the standard since 1864, and by 1963 it was still in use. However, the heavy reliance on copper would later change in the 1980s when rising metal costs forced a shift to copper-plated zinc. But in 1963, collectors still had the traditional bronze cent, which carries a rich reddish-brown hue when freshly minted and over time develops shades of brown that appeal to numismatists. Condition plays a massive role in the value of the 1963 Lincoln penny. For example, well-circulated coin is typically worth face value, but uncirculated examples can carry significant premiums, particularly in high mint state grades. Coins with deep red luster, designated RD by grading companies, are especially desirable and can bring values of several dollars or more for pristine specimens. Proof coins were also struck in 1963 at the Philadelphia Mint with over 3 million. Proofs made. These coins featured mirrored fields and frosted devices, which gave them a striking appearance that appealed to collectors. Proof sets from 1963 remain popular today. Errors and varieties add another layer of fascination to the 1963 Lincoln penny. Among the most famous are double die obverses, where the inscriptions such as "Liberty" or the motto "In God We Trust" show signs of doubling. These errors occurred during the die creation process, and they can be quite valuable. Some repunched mint mark varieties also exist for the Denver issue, where the D was punched into the die more than once, leading to overlapping impressions. Such pieces can attract strong collector interest because they reveal the imperfections of the minting process. To truly understand the story of the 1963 penny, we must place it in the broader historical context of America at that time. 1963 was a year of hope, change, and tragedy. President John F. Kennedy delivered speeches calling for civil rights, progress, and space exploration. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech at the March on Washington, and later in the year Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas. The Lincoln penny, with its portrait of another assassinated president, Abraham Lincoln, seemed particularly symbolic in 1963 as Americans mourned the loss of yet another leader. Both presidents represented ideals of unity, freedom, and sacrifice, and the little copper coin carried a deeper meaning than many realized. Collectors today often view the 1963 Lincoln penny not only as a collectible, but as a time capsule of mid-20th century America. The coin links us to an era when the United States was expanding economically, facing social challenges, and preparing for a future defined by technology and change. It was the last full year before the introduction of the Kennedy half-dollar, which would itself become a memorial coin to the slain president. The Lincoln cent of 1963, therefore, represents the final chapter of a calmer numismatic era before the storm of national tragedy reshaped American coinage. The design of the 1963 Lincoln penny featured the familiar obverse portrait of Lincoln by Brenner with the inscriptions, "Liberty in God We Trust," and the date 1963. The reverse displayed the wheat ears design introduced in 1909, which by then had become a beloved symbol of prosperity. However, this design was in its last years. By 1959, the wheat ears had already been replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse, so the 1963 penny actually featured the memorial design, not the wheat design. The memorial reverse, designed by Frank Gasparro, showed the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. with tiny details, including a visible statue of Lincoln seated inside. This reverse connected the coin even more strongly to the president it honored and gave the 1963 penny a dignified appearance. From a market standpoint, the 1963 Lincoln penny is widely collected in rolls, bags, and proof sets. Because of its high mintage and relative affordability, it is often a starting point for new collectors, yet even common coins can achieve surprising values in top condition. For example, grading companies like PCGs and NGC award special labels for coins that remain nearly flawless, such as Ms. 67 art examples of the 1963 cent. Such coins can command hundreds of dollars at auction because of their rarity in such pristine condition. Similarly, cameo proofs or deep cameo proofs from 1963 carry impressive premiums, especially when they are fully struck and display strong contrast. Over time, the 1963 penny has become a staple of Lincoln cent collections. Many collectors assemble date and mint mark sets from 1909 to present, and the 1963 issue holds its place as a bridge between the early years of the memorial reverse and the later modern issues. Though not as rare as coins from the early 20th century, the 1963 cent still represents an era now more than 60 years past, and owning one connects a collector to history in a very tangible way. Numismatic research continues to uncover small details about the 1963 penny, from die pair studies to strike characteristics. Some researchers document minor die breaks, cuds, and clash marks, which, while not as famous as doubled dies, still create unique collectible varieties for specialists. These little details remind us that even a coin with billions minted can produce rare and one-of-a-kind pieces that excite advanced collectors. As you hold a 1963 Lincoln penny, you are holding more than copper. You are holding a story of America in transition, a nation honoring its past through Abraham Lincoln, while looking toward its future in space exploration, civil rights, and cultural change. It is a coin that circulated in the pockets of ordinary people who witnessed extraordinary events. It passed through hands that may have held newspapers announcing the March on Washington or the tragic death of Kennedy, and today rests in collections as a link to that remarkable year. For the collector, investor, or historian, the 1963 penny offers value beyond money. It teaches patience, detail, and respect for history. Every coin tells a story, and the 1963 Lincoln penny tells a story of abundance, resilience, and national memory.